I was born in Istanbul, Turkey, and my parents brought me here when I was an infant and raised me in Islam, teaching me that Jesus was not the Son of God, and anyone that would profess him as Lord was guilty of blasphemy against Allah. Being raised in this culture also demanded strict discipline, and daily beatings were regular. One day as a young teenager, while enduring one of these beatings from my father, I decided to defend myself. And this was viewed as rebellion against the head of the Muslim household and caused me to be thrown out of the house. Living on the street, I became involved with alcohol and drugs to soothe the pain of being rejected. I started using the drugs in an ever-increasing amount. While living out in the street, I did also meet my future wife. We were married. And when she could no longer satisfy the selfish desires, I sought to have my desires, my needs satisfied in the arms of a different woman. So I divorced my wife and moved with this woman to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And living in Albuquerque, we fell into some hard financial times. And my car was up for repossession, and I was being evicted from my apartment. And there was no hope for my future, much less any hope for the next day. So I decided the miserable life I was living was not worth it anymore and wanted to commit suicide. And I decided the way I would do this was by purchasing enough cocaine, my drug of choice, to use in one instance in overdosing, committing suicide. As I was headed to purchase this drug from my dealer, I was going through a radio station looking for some deep, dark music that would serve as a soundtrack to the end of my life. But rather than finding this type of music, I found a Christian radio station that played this song, which really grabbed my attention. And after the song was over, the announcer said that this band will be performing at the University of New Mexico basketball stadium, also known as the Pit. And I looked up, and directly to my right, I saw a sign that said, The Pit. And I couldn't resist. I had to go into the auditorium and go see this band. And after the band had played their music, I sat down, and Laurie came out and started talking about Jesus and the love of God. He assured me that God loved me. And I thought, how could God love me? Look at the way I live my life. I do not please God in any way. I thought God hated me. But Greg assured me that God expresses his love in this, that while we were still sinners, Christ died for our sins. And Greg gave the invitation to come forward and to pray to receive Christ. And I remember praying to God, not Allah, that my life was a mess. But if he wanted it, if God wanted it, it will be his. It was my intent to end my life that day, to die that evening. And it was God's intent that I die also, die to self and be raised a new creation. And indeed, by his grace and in his love and his compassion, I am a new creation today.